Now the next thing I want to do is we're moving to the German school. And German, the main, well, there's Lichtenauer tradition, but the later treatise is mostly Meyer. Meyer's when you get into the, let's say 1550 and beyond. By this point, fencing is more of a sport than a martially useful activity. And he comes up with what's known as the Meyer Square. The idea behind the Meyer Square is that you have 4 openings, essentially. If you're unarmored, these 4 openings would be the limbs, the hands, and the legs, because these are the parts of your opponent that are closest and easiest to attack. If you're fighting an armored opponent, which is generally the case in European combat, you're going to be going for the joints, the armpits and the hips, because these are the places where you have the least amount of armor because you need to have freedom of mobility. So this is essentially four good targets, and in European swordsmanship, you're generally going to close off 2 of those 4 by assuming a guard position. Well, I guess it would cut off 1 of those 4. So you can have a high right, high left, low right, and low left. And the idea behind the Meyer Square is to train targeting the 4 openings and moving from one opening to the other. And it's essentially a flow drill. You're trying to make transitions smoothly so that when you're in a combat situation, you automatically make these movements without really having to stop and think about it. So the way I do the Meyer drill is I alternate between cuts and thrusts. So I'll go through it once with cuts, then I'll do thrusts, then I'll do false edge cuts, and then the last time around I like to do a double cut where you start with the false edge and complete with the true edge. So if you can see on my pad here, I've got the numbers here, and this also helps with your situational awareness, because you have to, actually look. I suppose you could memorize the drill, but it helps you to keep your eyes looking for openings as you try and figure out where to cut next. So I'm going to start with my pendulum here. You can either use the pendulum as a target, or you can use it as a metronome and strike the pad. I'm going to do this as a metronome exercise. I did it a little out of sequence, but the idea is to just go slow and practice these movements. So again, we'll do it one more time. Actually, I did that incorrectly. So that's the general idea.